There is a myth so deeply embedded in the firearms world that most people never question it. The myth says accuracy costs money, that reliability is a luxury, that if you want a gun that actually performs at the range, you need to spend $600 or $700 minimum. And if you're not willing to do that, expect to be embarrassed every time you step into a lane. The gun community, particularly the loudest corners of it online, has spent decades reinforcing this idea. You see it in comment sections, in forum threads, in gear review videos where the host is wearing $300 worth of clothing just to tell you that your budget pistol is garbage. This video is going to dismantle that myth completely. Not with opinions, not with brand loyalty, with actual performance data and the kind of information that regular shooters already know, but nobody seems to say out loud on camera. The truth is that the firearms market has changed dramatically over the last 15 years. Manufacturers in Eastern Europe, Turkey, South America, and right here in the United States have figured out how to engineer reliable, accurate, durable firearms at price points that would have seemed impossible 2 decades ago. CNC machining tolerances have improved. Polymer frame technology has matured. Quality control processes, once exclusive to premium manufacturers, are now standard at mid-tier and budget-tier operations. What that means for you is that the gun in the display case for $250 is not automatically inferior to the one next to it for $700. At 25 yards, the cheap one often wins. We are going to talk about exactly which ones those are, why they perform the way they do, and what you need to know before buying one. 5 guns, all of them dirt cheap. All of them capable of making expensive guns look bad at the range. Let's get into it. The first gun on this list has been misunderstood so long that its reputation is almost entirely divorced from its actual performance. People hear the name and think pawn shop bargain bin. They think last resort firearm, the gun you grab when you have literally no other option. That reputation is built almost entirely on prejudice rather than evidence. The gun is the Hi-Point C9. And before you click away, you need to hear what people who actually shoot these things have to say. The Hi-Point C9 is a 9mm semi-automatic pistol that retails between $150 and $230. That is not a typo. You can walk into a gun store, hand over $200, and walk out with a working 9mm pistol that carries a lifetime warranty, feeds hollow points reliably, and keeps most shots inside a 4-inch group at 25 yards in the hands of an average shooter. The gun is ugly. It is heavy for its size at 29 ounces unloaded. The grip is chunky, the trigger is long and gritty. The sights are basic but adjustable, which is actually a feature many more expensive pistols skip at this price tier. What the Hi-Point gets right, and what virtually nobody who laughs at it takes time to acknowledge, is the barrel. The C9 runs a 4.5-inch bull barrel, a fixed barrel, rather than the tilting link design found in most service pistols. Fixed barrel pistols are inherently more accurate than tilting barrel designs because the barrel itself never moves. When you fire a Glock, a SIG, or an M&P, the barrel tilts downward as part of the cycling process. On a quality firearm, that tilt is engineered to tight tolerances, but a fixed barrel never introduces that variable at all. Every shot leaves the muzzle from the exact same position, in the exact same alignment to the frame, every single time. Physics does not care about price. The Hi-Point also benefits from its weight. Blowback operation requires a heavier slide to manage 9mm recoil, and that added mass translates directly into softer felt recoil. The gun absorbs the shot in a way that keeps the muzzle from climbing aggressively, making follow-up shots faster and more accurate than the price suggests. Range shooters who have run actual accuracy testing report 1.5 to 2-inch groups at 15 yards from a supported position, performance that would not embarrass a pistol costing 4 times as much. The lifetime warranty deserves its own mention because it is genuinely unusual. Hi-Point covers every gun they sell for life. Not the original owner only, not with registration requirements, the gun itself. You ship it, they fix it. Period. Several manufacturers charge premium prices and still do not offer that level of coverage. Is the C9 a competition pistol? No. Is it the gun you choose for duty carry where ergonomics and rapid deployment are critical? Probably not. But as a legitimate range pistol that will outshoot plenty of guns costing 3 and 4 times more in pure accuracy terms? Absolutely. And if you have dismissed it without shooting one, That dismissal says more about brand bias than it does about the gun. There is also the matter of ammunition compatibility. The C9 feeds a wider variety of 9mm loads than its detractors assume, including hollow points of varying lengths and weights, which is directly relevant to anyone who intends to train with defensive ammunition rather than ball rounds exclusively. The extractor geometry and feed ramp angle on the current production C9 have been refined over years of manufacturing iteration, and the result is a pistol that is substantially more consistent in feeding than the earlier production units that generated much of the negative reputation. If your exposure to the C9 is based on reading about problems from guns made 10 or 12 years ago, you are not evaluating the gun that is currently sitting on the shelf. The second gun requires less defending and considerably more celebrating. It is one of the most significant value propositions in all of modern firearms. A pistol that entered the American market collecting accuracy and reliability awards from publications and testers who expected to be disappointed and left genuinely impressed. The Konik TP9SF is a full-size striker-fired 9mm that you can currently purchase for between $280 and $350, and it competes directly and successfully with pistols that cost twice as much. Konik is a Turkish manufacturer operating under the MKEK Defense Group, building firearms for military, law enforcement, and civilian markets for decades. The TP9SF ships in a case that includes the pistol, 2 18-round magazines, a holster, a magazine loader, a cleaning rod, and backup sights. That accessory package alone is worth $30 to $50 if purchased separately. The trigger on the TP9SF is legitimately exceptional. Not exceptional for a budget gun. Exceptional, full stop. Pull weight runs between 5 and 6 pounds with a clean break and a very short tactile reset that makes rapid, accurate follow-up shots genuinely easy. Shooter after shooter who picks up a TP9SF for the first time says the same thing. They cannot believe the trigger is stock. It feels like someone already performed a trigger job on it. That kind of trigger quality typically costs $200 to $300 as an aftermarket upgrade on competing platforms. The barrel is cold hammer forged and chrome-lined, manufacturing specifications you typically associate with military-grade rifles, not budget handguns. Cold hammer forging compresses the steel as the rifling is formed, creating a denser, harder bore that improves accuracy and longevity. A chrome-lined bore resists corrosion and fouling more effectively, meaning the gun maintains its accuracy characteristics longer between cleanings. These are not marketing features. They are engineering choices with measurable real-world effects. At 25 yards from a bench rest, the TP9SF regularly produces groups in the 2-inch range with quality ammunition, and sub-2-inch groups are achievable with match-grade loads. That puts it in direct competition with the Glock 17, the Smith & Wesson M and P9, and the Sig Sauer P320, all of which cost significantly more, and in accuracy testing, the Konik does not lose that comparison. It wins it as often as not. The grip texture is aggressive enough for wet condition shooting without becoming uncomfortable during extended sessions. The slide serrations are deep and well-placed, front and rear. The accessory rail accepts standard Picatinny-compatible lights and lasers. The magazine release is reversible for left-handed shooters. For this price category, the ergonomic detail is remarkable. Aftermarket support has grown substantially as the gun's reputation has expanded. Holsters from Safariland and Blackhawk are available. Aftermarket sights, trigger components, and extended releases are offered by multiple vendors. The TP9SF is not an island the way some budget firearms are. At its price point, the Konik TP9SF is not a compromise. It is the gun you buy when you are paying attention to performance rather than brand names, and you want to walk away from the comparison with money in your pocket and a gun that outshot the expensive ones in the lane next to you. The third gun occupies a category many shooters underestimate because they have not spent enough time with it. The category is pump-action shotguns, and the specific gun is the Mossberg 500, which has been in continuous production since 1961, has sold more than 10 million units, and can be purchased new for between $280 and $360. That price, for a shotgun with that pedigree, is one of the genuine bargains in all of modern firearms. The Mossberg 500 is chambered in 12 gauge, with the 18.5-inch barrel configuration being the most discussed in tactical and range contexts. It handles everything from birdshot to buckshot to rifled slugs with equal reliability, and its operating mechanism has a reliability advantage that is essentially impossible to deny. Pump-action systems are mechanically simple. They have fewer parts than semi-automatic designs. They are not sensitive to ammunition load variations the way gas-operated systems can be. You can run the cheapest promotional birdshot through a Mossberg 500, and it will cycle every single time because you are providing the cycling force manually. Semi-automatic shotguns designed for full power loads sometimes short cycle or fail to eject when fed reduced recoil ammunition. The pump does not care. The receiver is aluminum alloy, keeping weight manageable without sacrificing structural integrity. Dual extractors on each side of the bolt face provide positive shell extraction even when cases have expanded from heat or moisture. The ambidextrous top-mounted tang safety is positioned directly at the rear of the receiver where the thumb naturally falls, immediately accessible without altering your grip. A design decision that outclasses the crossbolt safeties on many competing shotguns, regardless of price. Accuracy potential with rifled slugs consistently surprises shooters who have not tested it. A cylinder bore barrel will keep rifled slugs inside a 4 to 5-inch circle at 50 yards from a bench rest. Fit a rifled barrel or add a rifled choke tube, and you open up the platform to Sabot slug performance approaching 2 to 3-inch groups at 100 yards. The same receiver that runs defensive buckshot patterns at close range can be configured for 100-yard shooting without changing the core action. The Mossberg 500 passed Mil-Spec 3443 testing requirements covering extreme temperature ranges, dust, mud, and saltwater exposure. It has been carried by American soldiers in active combat zones. The fact that it is available to civilian shooters for under $400 reflects 6 decades of manufacturing efficiency and design amortization across tens of millions of units. At the range, the Mossberg 500 will do things that make owners of 12-gauge shotguns costing 2 or 3 times more quietly uncomfortable. Not because it outperforms a well-fitted Benelli on target splits in competition, but in basic accuracy, feed reliability across ammunition types, and mechanical consistency over thousands of rounds. The 500 will hang with nearly anything else on the line. The fourth gun speaks directly to the question of whether you need an expensive AR-15 to shoot accurately at the range. The answer, for the majority of shooters in the majority of contexts, is no. The gun that makes that case most convincingly is the Ruger 1022, a semi-automatic rimfire rifle chambered in .22 long rifle that retails in standard configuration between $260 and $310. It is one of the best-selling rifles in American history for reasons that are entirely grounded in performance. The 1022 has been in production since 1964. More than 7 million units have been manufactured. In stock configuration, it features an 18.5-inch cold hammer forged barrel with a 1 in 16-inch twist rate, an aluminum alloy receiver, and a rotary magazine system that is one of the most reliable rimfire feeding designs ever devised. The 10-round rotary magazine sits flush with the stock, keeping the handling compact and balanced. The trigger on the stock 1022 has a pull weight between 5 and 6.5 pounds with a somewhat mushy feel and an indistinct break. This is the one area where most experienced shooters push back. Ruger's BX Trigger upgrade, available for $60 to $80, brings pull weight down to approximately 2.5 to 3 pounds with a clean break and short reset, and it transforms the shooting experience immediately. Adding the BX Trigger brings your total investment to roughly $350 to $390, still dramatically less than most rimfire rifles, offering comparable trigger quality from the factory. At 50 yards, a stock 1022 with standard velocity ammunition keeps most groups inside 1.5 inches. Add the BX Trigger, mount a quality budget scope like a Vortex Crossfire 2, and switch to match-grade ammunition like CCI standard velocity. And that same rifle produces groups in the 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch range consistently. For a $500 total investment, that is target-grade accuracy. The cost of .22 LR ammunition is where the 1022's value proposition becomes transformative. 500 rounds of quality .22 LR runs $20 to $30 at current market rates. The same volume in 9mm runs $60 to $100. In 5.56 NATO, $120 to $180. That difference means every dollar spent on range time goes dramatically further with the 10/22. You can shoot 3 or 4 times as many rounds per session, and repetition is the single most important variable in building shooting skill. The cheap ammunition is not a minor advantage. It is a fundamental training benefit that directly accelerates shooter development. The aftermarket ecosystem for the 10/22 is so extensive it functions as its own independent market. Trigger packs, bull profile and fluted barrels, aluminum and carbon fiber chassis systems, extended magazines, suppressor-ready adapters, adjustable stocks, the depth of support is unparalleled in the rimfire category. Whatever you want the 10/22 to do, someone has made the part that helps it do that better. As a range tool, as a training platform, as an accuracy development system that maximizes the value of every ammunition dollar, the Ruger 10/22 is without peer at any price. And at under $300 for the base rifle, it is one of the most significant performance values in all of American shooting. There is also a practical benefit to 22 LR training that goes beyond cost savings and into skill development mechanics. The low recoil of the 22 LR cartridge allows shooters to observe their own trigger mechanics in real time. Because the muzzle does not jump aggressively and the sound of the shot is manageable even without hearing protection at some outdoor ranges, you can watch your sights through the entire firing cycle and immediately identify whether you are anticipating the shot, flinching, or applying uneven trigger pressure. These are the fundamental technique errors that undermine accuracy with larger calibers, and they are nearly invisible when you are managing significant recoil and noise simultaneously. Training on a 10/22 builds clean mechanics that transfer directly to centerfire shooting. Law enforcement and military trainers have used this principle for decades. It is not a workaround, it is a deliberate training methodology. The fifth and final gun has, over the last several years, quietly accumulated a track record that has forced even committed brand loyalists to acknowledge that something unusual is happening with Brazilian gunmaking. The Taurus G3C is a compact 9mm striker-fired pistol, retailing between $230 and $280, and it is currently competing directly, successfully, and somewhat embarrassingly with pistols from established names costing $300 more. Taurus has a complicated reputation in the American market worth addressing directly because it is relevant to understanding what the G3C represents. The older Taurus reputation was earned through genuine quality control problems. The PT series pistols from the mid-2000s through the early 2010s had documented issues with trigger safeties and general production consistency. There were recalls, there was legitimate criticism from shooters who experienced reliability problems firsthand. Taurus responded not by ignoring this, but by actually addressing it at the manufacturing level. They invested in new CNC machinery, implemented more rigorous quality control protocols, and in 2019 introduced the G-Series platform, designed from the ground up to compete in the duty and compact carry market. The performance data from these pistols tells a story dramatically different from the Taurus history most critics are still referencing. The G3C is a compact pistol with a 3.5-inch barrel, polymer frame, and steel slide. It holds 12 rounds in the flush-fit magazine and also accepts 15-round extended magazines available at low cost. The trigger features double action, second strike capability, meaning if a primer fails to fire on the first attempt, you can pull through again without cycling the slide, a redundancy against light primer strikes that some shooters appreciate and others find adds complexity to the pull profile. First strike pull weight runs approximately 5.5 pounds with a somewhat long travel, a definitive break, and a consistent reset. It is not a conic trigger, but it is functional and predictable. Where the G3C genuinely surprises skeptical shooters is in mechanical accuracy and feed reliability. Barrel-to-slide lockup is solid with minimal play in any direction, which contributes directly to shot-to-shot consistency. At 15 yards, groups in the 2 to 3-inch range are easily achievable by average shooters. At 25 yards, competent shooters consistently produce 4-inch groups or better. For a compact pistol, a size category where barrel length reduction typically compromises accuracy, these results are legitimately impressive. Feed reliability across a broad range of 9mm ammunition has been consistently reported as excellent by independent testers who have run the pistol through extended break-in and qualification protocols. Standard ball, bonded hollow points, polymer-tipped defensive rounds, and subsonic loads all feed without issue. Holsters are available from numerous manufacturers. aftermarket sights in fiber optic and tritium configurations are available from multiple vendors. The support ecosystem has expanded alongside the pistol's growing reputation. At the range, the G3C punches significantly above its price category. Side by side against a Glock 43X or a Springfield Hellcat, both similar in size but costing 2 to 3 times more, the Taurus holds its own on accuracy and exceeds expectations on reliability with bulk ammunition. For a shooter who wants a compact 9mm that is genuinely capable of defensive use, training, and range work without spending $300 on a brand name, the Taurus G3C is one of the best current values in the category. There is something important to say about all 5 of these firearms that goes beyond the specific guns themselves, because this conversation is really about a broader principle of how to think about shooting equipment. The guns on this list are not aspirational firearms you eventually upgrade toward. They are functional tools that do their jobs well right now at the range, with ammunition in the chamber, producing results on paper that the price tag does not predict. The premium firearms market is not built entirely on performance. It is built substantially on brand identity and the psychology of quality association. There is nothing wrong with wanting a Sig Sauer P226 or a Wilson Combat 1911. Those are magnificent objects engineered to high tolerances with obvious craftsmanship. If you have the budget for them, buy one and enjoy it thoroughly. But if you are operating under the assumption that you cannot train seriously until you have spent $700 or $800 on a pistol, that assumption is costing you opportunity. The $500 you would spend upgrading from a Canik TP9 SF to a premium pistol could buy you 3,000 additional rounds of 9mm ammunition. 3,000 rounds of deliberate practice will do more for your shooting skill than any component upgrade on any firearm. The gun is not the variable that limits most shooters. The training is. And budget guns make training cheaper. Shoot what works. Train as much as the budget allows and ignore anyone who tells you the only path to improvement runs through a more expensive gun. The firearms community at its best is generous with knowledge and experience. But there is a version of that community. The forum warriors, the gun store counter veterans, the people who have been shooting for 40 years and have decided that their preferences constitute universal standards that can make budget-minded shooters feel unwelcome or under-equipped. Do not let that version of the community determine what you buy or how you train. The guns on this list have earned their spots through documented performance, through range results that do not care what brand name is stamped on the slide, through the straightforward logic of accuracy data and mechanical reliability numbers that have been produced by independent testers who had no financial stake in the outcome. Every gun on this list can be purchased today at a dealer near you, at prices that put serious shooting within reach of virtually any budget. Run them through their paces, keep them clean, feed them quality ammunition, and let the groups on your target paper make the argument for you.